Well, it's Brett Taylor here, and today I have Alan McLean with me. Alan is the most recent Canadian Tour champion, winning the Windsor Roseland Charity Classic. And Alan is Scottish born, grew up in South Africa, and now resides in London, Ontario. This is his 17th year as a tour player, and he has traveled the world, I would say a global player, has played the European Tour, Nationwide, or now Web.com Tour, South African Tour, he's played in Asia, and he plays the Canadian Tour regularly as well. Obviously, he has a wealth of experience, and today we'll be talking to Alan about the mental side of golf and his recent win as well. So thanks for joining me, Alan.
You're welcome.
So tell me a little bit about Sunday and your recent win. How was that? I know you've mentioned before that you've played the Canadian Tour for a number of years. I think it's been 130 some events leading up to this win, and you've been second a few times. So what made the difference this time?
Brett, I think I just had some newfound confidence. I've been striking the ball well all year and haven't been scoring very well. In the last couple of months, I've been putting a fair amount of work into my short game and my putting. And I went up to Thunder Bay recently, and a friend of mine, Walter Keating Jr, had read an article in the Golf Digest, and he thought it would pertain to me. He made me read it. We went out, did some work, and when you've got confidence with your putter, it obviously parlays through your game. And I just felt really comfortable and confident with my putting stroke last week, and managed to make some telling putts.
Okay, so obviously, the mental side of the game ties into the physical part, and you can't really just depend on the mental side of the game to play well. There's definitely a physical component there. So, how did that? Obviously, you made some changes physically to your putting, and that gave you confidence, as you say. How did that change your frame of mind mentally when you were hitting those shots and hitting those putts? At crucial moments in the tournament.
Well, I would attribute to one word, and that's confidence. The very first putt of the week, I had probably an 8-footer for par, and I made that putt. And it's funny when you see the first putt of the day go in, and whether it be a 6-footer or a 3-footer for birdie or par or a good par save in my case, you just it just gives you a surge of confidence. And you see the ball going in the hole, and that's how I felt. I just felt, wow, all of this new technique is working, and away I went. I just rode it, and made some crucial putts all week, and that to me, quite frankly, is the difference between this week and the other weeks in the Canadian Tour. There was a couple of times I had putts for bogeys, and had I missed that, it was a double bogey. And if you look at my scorecards over the course of the summer, I've been struggling with the double bogey and triple bogeys, and this week I managed to keep those off my card. So I obviously made a lot of putts for birdies, and it's just it keeps your momentum going, and it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling when you stand up there and you have confidence, knowing that probably 9 times out of 10 I'm going to make this putt. Your negative thoughts aren't there. It's not like, if I do this or if I do that, it's just like, okay, just hit it and it'll go in. And that's how I felt.
Yeah. Okay. I guess just digging into confidence a little bit. I've asked other players as well, and it's a really tough one to define. How do you get confidence, and what does confidence really look and feel like, and just to talk a little bit about that, as far as self-talk and expectations and, visualization. Obviously, when you have a lot of confidence, I expect that you're, saying different things to yourself as to when you're not confident, and your expectations are a little bit different. And, obviously, I think you're probably, seeing the ball go in the hole. But, I'd like to get your perspective on that. Is there a way for you to define confidence, and do those sorts of things look and feel a bit different when you're playing well?
It's a good question. Let's break that down a little. I've been around the block a couple of times, and off the bat, I'd like to say expectation in golf is the biggest killer ever. Whether it be self-expectation or expectation from your parents or friends or whoever, I think the key to the question really is self-expectation. A quiet expectation. If you can, when you're playing well, when you're striking the ball well, when you're scoring well, and the key to me is to keep that inside and just to build upon it. There's so much luck involved in our game that we play that the week that you get the breaks and the weeks that you do have that quiet expectation and confidence, I think are the weeks that you perform really well. I think, as soon as you voice expectation and you say to people, I'm really playing well, I'm looking for a W. Everyone thinks that they're going to win, and believes that they're going to win. But when you actually voice it, and I'll give you a recent example, is when that youngster at the US Open this year, that amateur, I can't remember his name, but, all week up until the Saturday evening, he had just played golf. And then all of a sudden on the Saturday night, he was doing an interview, and he said, I can win this. And unfortunately, Sunday he went out there and struggled, right? So that voicing that expectation to me is a killer. And a lot of, it might be slightly off topic, but a lot of the amateur golfers, I think, having a huge amateur career and people heaping expectation on you just to step up from amateur golf to professional golf is sometimes is a huge killer, because it's not easy. It's not an easy step to make. But, secondly to that, second part of that question, confidence. What is confidence? I agree with you. It is seeing that ball going in the hole. How do you classify that? I don't know. But you just feel like, I can make this. I can do this. And the weeks that you're not playing well, you just don't have that. You just don't see the ball going in the hole, and you don't feel it. You talk about people talk about being in the zone, and whether it be a chip in or a putt or something, you just see the ball go in the hole. Somehow you feel it. Your feel is there. You can feel the breaks in the putt. You can see the breaks in the putt, and you can marry the two. It is an intangible. It's hard to describe, but everything kind of clicks. You hit the ball where you're looking at going, like you're visualizing, and you're seeing and you're executing what you're visualizing. That to me is the key.
Yeah.
But yeah, to try and quantify confidence is a difficult one.
Yeah. So you brought up a few things that I'd like to kind of talk about a little bit further. And, you say, confidence, when you have that confidence, you see it and you feel it and you just kind of know it, that it's going to happen and whatnot. So, obviously, to a certain degree, we can control what we visualize. So, do you think that it's possible to develop that confidence and build and breed that confidence a little bit more on a weekly basis by, seeing what it is that you want to have happen and visualizing those shots?
I think you can. I think as long as you're playing well, I think that confidence will continue, right? I think, and that's where I think the hard work behind the scenes comes in. What people don't really see is going back to the well and practicing and keeping that momentum going. It's all very well to sit back and rest in your laurels and say, I've won. But you've actually got to go back and just, continue to work. And I think as long as you're working and using the processes that you've put in place, for that win or whatever you've done, and you continue to use that and see it, I think that helps. It's just such a fickle game, and it's why is Tiger Woods not winning PGA? The majors. Well, I don't know. He used to dominate. So everyone is goes through this, and confidence is you build upon confidence. It's not something that just comes overnight. You know, you can go out and shoot 62 one day and shoot 72 the next day, or 82 for that matter. So you've got to build upon it, and you've got to feel it. You've got to still trust yourself. For me, I think personally, someone gave me a wise saying that I use a lot these days. It's called, you got to give up control to get control. You know,
Right.
And that to me is just trust. It's down to trust. It's being confident to fail, but at the same time, if you flip that around, you're having the confidence to hit that shot, and when it's coming off, you're going to play well. But you're not scared of the consequences. And when you're not playing well, the consequences seem to rule what happens in your golf swing. And, you know, like, again, I'm just going to refer back to last week. I wasn't really, I was more, I wasn't concerned about the result more so than just hitting the shot. So whether that's, you know, we like to say being in the now, not getting ahead of yourself, I think that's pertainable to what I'm trying
Okay. So yeah, those are you know, great comments for sure, and I want to get back to your comments on expectations, because it seems to be you know, a conflicting I guess idea or thought to what some of the other players have had, and I just want to kind of frame it up for you with expectations. And I think there's different sets of expectations, maybe with respect to, you know, career expectations and maybe individual event and individual shot expectations. And you know, if you have well, let me put it this way: the most successful players on the PGA Tour, I'm pretty confident that they expect to be there, and those guys that win majors expect that they're going to win majors. I don't think they would really be able to if they didn't expect to, but I could be mistaken there. But I think setting an expectation of winning a specific event is probably a bad idea, because you can't control what other people do. But I think you do have more control from an expectation perspective on your career and your success in general. So I'm just, you know, you say expectations are killer. Can you kind of, with what I've said, can you kind of make some comments on that too?
Okay, let me give you an example, right? I've got to think of an example here, but Tiger right now is a prime example, right? Tiger's focus has always been Jack's record. He's going to eclipse Jack's record. Then he had the little blimp on the radar, and his confidence took a knock. But his main focus is still the majors. Now, he's come back this year and won 3 times, and he's kind of been in contention but fallen back on the Sundays. Now, is the occasion, is the expectation, and this is a question I could pose to you or to whoever's listening, is that expectation, or is that, what do you attribute that to? People expect him to win. People expect him to eclipse Jack's record. People, you know, that expectation, even from himself, is huge. He's made no bones about it, that's, you know, he's going to set all these records. Now, I'm not arguing that people shouldn't have expectations. I mean, obviously, he's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of player. But unfortunately, people like to deal today in unreality. People like to dream. And I'm not saying don't dream, and I'm saying this specifically to expectations. If I had to walk around and say to people, you know what, I'm not playing well, I'm not going to really compete this week, people will think I'm a negative Joe. So we feel obligated to say to people, yeah, you know, I'm playing well and I'm going to win this week. Do you truly believe that inside? The question that again, I'm going to ask you is, when you truly believe and you know that you're playing well and then you voice it, well, I'm thinking you're putting yourself under unnecessary pressure. When you are playing nice and you don't say it to anybody and you keep it quietly inside yourself, then I think is the week that you perform. Often I'm asked how you play, X, Y, and Z. And like to be a realist. I know when I'm playing well, and I know when I'm playing poorly. And, you know, I just think the world doesn't like to hear it when you deal in reality and you say to people, I'm not playing that well. I really don't have a chance this week or whatever. But again, when things start to swing around and you start to do better, I personally, and I've seen it many times with many different types of players, I think you're better off not saying anything. I think you're just better off quietly going about your business. And I can imagine in Tiger's case that is true. People expect him to do well, and Tiger knows when he's playing well and not playing well, and he said that he is. So, you know,
yeah, I think
I believe expectation is a weight that is unnecessary in golf.
okay. And, you know, I think, you know, part of the reason in having these interviews as well is getting everybody's individual view, and everybody, of course, is entitled to that. And I'm really glad to hear your perspective on that. And you know, some people, you know, look at things in different ways. And, you know, I had one player that, you know, their mindset for expectations was that it really doesn't matter what other people kind of think. And, you know, if I state that I want to win on the Canadian Tour and I feel like I'm capable of winning on the Canadian Tour, then it doesn't really matter if I tell people that or not. It won't have an influence on their success. Now, like I say, that's different for everybody, but I think we all have our own perspective and perception of what we say and the value that it brings, or negativity that it brings to one's game. I don't know. If you agree with that.
I have a simple equation. I think expectation equals pressure equals frustration. If you expect to win and things don't go according to plan, you get frustrated quicker. And frustration in golf is as much a killer as expectation. It's a vicious circle. And you know, if you just go out there and let things happen, good things happen. When you try and make things happen, you try and make things happen when you're trying to force the issue because of expectation. You know, simple, you know, I've got a 460 yard par 5 coming up. You know, I'm 3 under par. This should be, you know, and you're staying on the tee or the hole before that on the green, and you're thinking, okay, I can get to 4 under. How many times do you actually get to 4 under? How many times you walk off with this, you know, a disappointing 5 and possibly even a 6, purely because of expectation? I expect to overpower this hole. I expect to make an easy birdie. But it's the days when you don't think, okay, it's literally just let me hit the ball and go and find it and hit it again. Those are the days that you score well.
Yeah, well, you know, like I say, I think I think there's a lot of different perspectives out there on it, and you know, other people might say, you know, putting pressure, you know, shows that determination, and pressure, you know, makes diamonds. So, you know, if you set that expectation and you work hard at it and you focus on it, then you can increase your likelihood of achieving it. Now, on an individual hole, that may not be the case, and maybe it would be, but I think again, it's perspective for sure, and you know, that's obviously not one that works well for you. So that's good to know, and to understand what, you know, what works best for Alan McLean. So
yeah, and I think, yeah, I mean, I'm talking from personal experience, whether it be with a lot of amateurs that I play with, whoever. I've seen it, and I've been aware of it myself, and that was neat about last week. I had no expectation. I just went out there and played hard.
Right. But you knew you're capable of winning, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I've felt many times, I like you said earlier in the interview, I think there's many times where I think I expect to win out here.
Right.
So I would have expected to win more times than I have.
Yeah.
But I haven't, and why, I'm not sure. But I can tell you that it's frustrating that you don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's the equation that I'm making. You know, you expect to win equals frustration equals poor decision.
Okay. Wow. So back to your win. I know you had made some comments as well that you felt, a certain calmness and in the tournament and maybe just on Sunday. I'm not sure, but how does relaxation and how calmness, how does that play into your ability to be successful?
Um, I think, and I hate to say it's luck, but the weeks that you're doing well, you're getting breaks. Last week, there were twice on the Saturday when I played nicely. I got some good breaks, and and when you're playing well, you don't get antsy, because you made a bogey or such and such. So I think that when you playing well, you don't get ahead of yourself,
Okay.
and you're not getting upset when things aren't going according to plan because you know that you can make that up. When you're playing badly and you feel like, oh, I made a bogey, how am I going to get a birdie? You're putting, again, that word pressure for me comes up again. Like, how am I going to recoup this? How do I recover from this? Even though it's only one bogey, it's amazing how your confidence is affected when you're not playing well because you just don't feel like you can recover.
Okay.
And last week, I was able to stay calm because I knew deep down inside that I was playing well and everything was in good shape. I just felt confident and like an inner peace. I wasn't concerned that I made bogeys.
Yeah.
Again, the course was playing tough, and I knew that it wasn't a scoring fest. So par mentally, I prepared myself saying par is a good score.
Yeah. So did
And
you did
especially on Sunday after I went double bogey bogey, I realized I still had a short lead and 3 holes to go, or 2 holes to go. And if I went par par, that's great. You're not thinking, well, I need to make a birdie here to stay ahead of the game.
right? And you had mentioned about you feeling really confident and a calmness and did you almost feel like you knew you were going to win even though you didn't really say that and you couldn't really predict the outcome, but did you feel that was that calmness an amount of confidence that you almost knew you were going to do it?
Um, there's nothing cast in stone, as you know, in golf. But yeah, I mean, you're right. That quiet confidence that I perceived I had I was just so in the now. It's such a cliched word, but it really is true. It's like I just hit shot for shot. Every shot was the most important shot coming down the stretch, and I was able to focus on what I needed to do, went through my processes of my pre-shot routine, and executed. And, like I said, after I went double bogey bogey, and I looked at the scoreboard, and I was like, man, I had such a big lead. Why did I hit driver there on 15 when all I probably needed to do was, hit a utility, but I wasn't aware where I was.
Right.
And to see that I still had a shot lead was the relief. I was like, wow, okay, well, I haven't shot myself in the foot, and I can definitely, I feel comfortable. The surroundings, I felt comfortable in my surroundings and confident in my ability to finish par and pull the trigger and went on.
Okay, so you mentioned about hitting a driver when you thought you might need a utility. How does course management play into your success here?
Well, I suppose you could look at my situation in two ways. One, if you look at the individual hole where I hit driver, it was a risk and reward type hole. The hole bottled up at around about 280, 290 yards. If you hit a good drive, you probably had a little L-wedge, sand wedge in your hand. But there was a bunker back there, probably about 250, 260, and ultimately, had I known at that stage I was 4 shots clear, I would have just laid up short of the bunker. Now, unfortunately, on Sunday, there was no scoreboards in and around where I was when I was standing on that tee, so I wasn't aware of where I was. So
those are the conflicts, right? You keep your foot in the pedal and just keep going with your game plan. And my game plan all week was to hit driver there. Or do you have a look at and be aware of your surroundings and hit the utility? I obviously thought that I still required a birdie due to the last updated score that I had. I was potentially level with the guy, and I thought that I needed to make a birdie, and it was a good opportunity. So I hit my driver, but with hindsight, I definitely would have played with my head there. I would have just taken the bunker out of play, hit something short of the bunker, even if it meant that I was hitting a 7-iron into that green. Taken, what's the worst I'm going to make is a 5. I've still got 3-shot lead with 3 to go. I'm not bringing the double bogey into play, whereas with the driver, obviously I was. And I think the weeks that you are doing well, you are making the right decision. Everything turned out well for me this week, thank goodness. But I think a good caddy and you thinking clearer. I think all your senses are probably heightened a little, and you just seem to do the right things. You get the right breaks, and man, today's world, there's not a tour in the world, even the little Great Lakes tour that we play in here. There's some good players. Gone are the days where you can dominate a tour. People today can play golf, and I think the guys that are winning are making those right decisions. Course management, getting the right bounces, making the crucial putts. Everything needs to go your way to win.
Right. So with course management then, obviously you were making an on-course decision there with which shot you should be playing. Do you kind of plan your way around the course before you play and decide on some holes that this is how I'm going to play this hole, even though I could hit this club, I'm going to choose to play that club, or I'm going to lay up, or I'm going to try and get to this green in 2? Do you do that?
I would say you probably 80%. If you play a course for the first time, you get a feel for the golf course. I think you probably play the same way 90% to 100% of the time, the same way as the first time you played the golf course. You might hit a different club off the tee once or twice after you've seen the course, and you think, oh, okay, well, that's not really a driver, or that's not really a 3-wood. It's better to hit an iron to A to B, or whatever it is. But when you first see a golf course, it's instinct that kicks in, and I think you've got to trust your instinct in certain situations. So whether you're under the caution coming down the stretch, if you've hit driver there most times, or like in our circumstances, previous 3 rounds, the reason I hit driver was to carry the bunker on the right. Now, on the Sunday, with hindsight, I should have hit utility, but I wasn't aware. But would I, if I was in that situation again, I knew I had a 4-shot lead, I would definitely hit my utility. So you've got to learn to be able to trust your instinct firstly, and also make adjustments on the fly. If don't hit a shot you're not comfortable hitting. And I wasn't uncomfortable hitting my driver. I just think in the situation that I was, with hindsight, which is 2020, I would have hit the utility there and just laid up short of the bunker.
Right. Okay. When it comes to your win, what does the word perseverance mean to you?
It means 17 years of or 132 events in the Canadian Tour not winning. I think perseverance, gosh, for me, as a on a personal level, it's so much different from a lot of people. The last year and a half has been really tough financially, and I'd be lying if I said there hasn't been too many days when I haven't considered trying to do something else, and to still pick your butt up and go out to the golf course and practice and try to put all the financial pressures to a side and concentrate on what you're doing, and trying to be finding means to go and play and create opportunities for yourself, traveling around the world, just believing in yourself that you have the ability to do it, and trusting that you can do it. That to me is perseverance. I'm sure there's golfers out there that have the means, whether it be sponsorship or whether it be through parents or whoever, that can just keep on going for years and years and years. But is the passion and the drive there? That to me is what perseverance is about. Is going out there and basically believing in yourself that you can do this and just doing it.
Right. Okay. So what's in the future for Alan McLean now? The rest of this year, and what are you planning beyond that?
Well, I'm looking forward to the next 3 weeks. We have a little run here of obviously including last week of a month of tournaments. I've got tournaments every week, and I'm looking to use last week's win as a springboard to future success. And ultimately, I hope every Sunday with 9 holes to go, I'm in the mix and have a chance to win. I haven't committed to a qualifying school yet, whether it be in Europe or the US. But I would hope to, like I say, make that decision in the coming weeks and hopefully, again, build on the success I've had and use it to build upon and hopefully get a card on one of the bigger tours.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Alan, for speaking with me today. It's been quite insightful to get your perspective on all the experience that you have in as a tour player. And before I let you go, I always give the player an opportunity to make give the final word on a recommendation or something, maybe a shout out or whatnot for making people successful on the mental side of the game. Anything come to mind for you?
I would just like to say to whoever is listening or is going to listen that I think as a golfer you've got a dream, and I think if this is what you want to do, again, believe that you can do it and make it happen. So don't ever give up on the dreams. Golf is just, it's not black and white, and go out there and make it happen.
Awesome. Thanks, Alan. I really appreciate it, and best of luck the rest of the year.
Thank you very much. You're most welcome.
Okay.